For the 13th straight year, Coca-Cola holds the crown as the top of the Interbrand Global Survey of the best global brands. The CEO of Interbrand, Jez Frampton, is at the New York Stock Exchange to ring the closing bell today. He's standing by with our markets desk editor, Josh Lipton. Josh?
Hey there, Mark. So, Jez, maybe we start with, how do you judge a top brand, Jez? What's the criteria you're using when putting together this ranking?
Well, we call it best global brands, so there's a clue in the name. One of the things is about being global. So that's the first criteria. You have to have business in certain parts of the world. Then there's three things that we look at. The first thing is to do with your earnings stream. So we're trying to get a fix on where your earnings come from. And then there's two marketing level that we look at. The first is what we call the role of the brand, which is quite simply how important is the brand in terms of the purchase process. And then the second thing is what we call brand strength, which gives you a clue into how far into the future that the brand's going to generate earnings. So we put those three things together and the net result is an asset value. So it's like a discounted cash flow, gives you a clue as to what the brand is worth, not just now, but into the future too.
And Jez, when you look at these companies, does the parent company have to be publicly traded in order for you guys to consider it?
Yeah, this is effectively an arm's length analysis, so we can only look at brands which have financials which are published. I mean, ideally they need to be traded because we need to make sure that they're published on a level playing field. The best thing about this list really is not the absolute numbers, it's the comparability, the ability to look at what one brand is doing compared to another. Because as providing all the information is kind of equal, then what you do is you get a good sense of a ranking.
And let me ask you, Jez, looking at these companies, you're talking to a Bloomberg audience here, traders, investors. Why should they care about branding? Why should value on it, Jez?
Quite simply because brands are powerful drivers of purchase and long-term loyalty. Those two things contribute tremendously to the success of a company, not just in the immediate term, but in the long term. So that's one reason. The second thing is that strong brands are known to and demonstrated to reduce risk. So over time, those two things, very, very important to traders. I want to make sure that I'm buying into something which has got long-term potential and actually has got a strong risk reduction mechanism in there as well, so I can weather the difficult times, shall we say.
Well, let's talk about some of the rankings. Apple jumps from 8 to 2. How come?
Well, quite simply, I mean, we're all aware of the fact that they've had a fantastic financial performance over the last 12 months. But more than that, we're starting to see all the real benefits, I think, of all of the things that they've been doing over the last 10 years, the ecosystem that they've created. Many people have said, why aren't they number one? I think, the issue there is what's going to happen in the future. Brands are about future measure, and I think there are still questions about what happens post-Jobs, what's going to be the next thing in there. That's sort of the brand
risk for them, then.
Yeah, that is the risk, really. Are they going to be able to continue to innovate at the very forefront of their industry, which they have been doing for quite some time now?
And it seems we've had a technical problem with Josh and with Mr. Frampton, but we thank you so much, and for Mr. Frampton for his report today from Interbrand. Coca-Cola, again, the 13th straight year holding the crown as the top global